What are we looking at? Anybody know? Sperm? Anybody know what kind?
Spermatozoa.
What? What organism?
Spermatozoa.
Humans, right? I don't know if you know this or not, but the structure of sperm is quite variable depending on what species you're in. And for that matter, even what group. Have I mentioned that?
I don't believe so.
Way back in the late 90s, I did research in Arizona on amphibian sperm structure. Frogs in general. Frogs have more than one flagella. They either have 2, 3, or 4, depending on what species you're in.
Sorry.
So think about that weirdness, right? So very strange stuff. Plus the structure of the head, the structure of the acrosome, all that stuff is variable depending on species. So just a note, you're not gonna be required to know that stuff in this class. But when I saw it, I thought it was interesting. So we gotta find an ovary somewhere. There's an ovary right there. All right. So let's look at the ovary. Let's look at today's stuff, right? Ovary's not very big. Here's a nice ovary here. It's got a nice Graphian follicle in it. That's what that big thing there is, right? Right. This big thing here is a Graphian or mature follicle, is what that is. So what do you need to know? Let's see. Germinal epithelium. Let's look at that. Let's zoom in on that. Take a look at it. So we're right at the edge, right? Germinal epithelium is right here. You can see it, can't miss it, right? Nice, solid germinal epithelium right along the edge. Tunica albuginea is this kind of area here, this little weird area before you start having the follicles in it. It's kind of a connective tissue outer layer, right? Where there's no action going on, no stuff going on, right? Cortex, that's this area. All these circles, all those little circles are primordial follicles. There's tons of them, right? And then of course I showed you that mature follicle in there, which you have to kind of go down on power to see, right? That is a big mature follicle, by the way. And we'll talk about the different subparts of the mature follicle, right? On the next slide, I think. All right. You want me to go down one more or not? This is as low as I can get, so we'll just start here and we'll go in as we need to. So there's a mature follicle. Let me see, let me look at a different ovary slide and see if it looks better on that. You never know if you're gonna get a mature ovary or not, or a mature follicle, I'm sorry. That one's got one, but it's not very good. Not as good as the one I just looked at, that's for sure. Let's go back to this one. Much better, all right. So this is, think about what this structure looks like. It's a spherical structure, right? And in the very center of it is where the ova is, and then it's surrounded by fluid on all sides, right? So when you section that, you've got to get it right in the middle to get that mature ova in there. So you got to kind of get lucky and get the right section of it there. All right. So theca interna, theca externa. That is talking about the outer edges, right? So let's go out here to the outer edges and take a quick look at it. If you look at it out here, So right here. So this is the very edge. Is there somebody else at the door now?
I think that's my brother.
What time is it?
No, 7.
Good afternoon. How are you? What's that talking about?
Internal, external.
What about it?
On the
You're the
edge.
one distinguishing it.
All right, so this is the edge of it here, right? You can tell it, this is the edge here, this is the internal part, this is the functional part of it, right? But if you look here to about there, you can see that there's 2 layers, right? Everybody see the difference in 2 layers? You got this layer and that layer, right? Theca interna and theca externa, right?
The 2 layers.
Uh-huh. Theca interna is this one, theca externa is that one, right? Just like many structures we have, it's got a 2-layer thing, right? Two protective layers around it. All right, what 3 says granulosa antrum. What in the heck is an antrum? We have an antrum in this building. You might know what it is? The antrum is where the plants are underneath the stairway there. So antrum is like a big open area. That's what an antrum is, a big space. So the antrum on this thing is all this, right? All this stuff, all this empty area where there's fluid, right? That's the antrum. Granulosa, granules, in this case means cells. All these cells that are in the antrum here are the granulosa antrum.
Do the cells just secrete the fluid or what?
It's where the fluid is, it's where the cell, there's loose cells in there, there's cells that are connected to other things in there. It's the bag or the sac or the fluid filled bag, whatever you want to call it. That's what that is. All right, I'm assuming everybody knows what the primary oocyte is. I hope so. It's the functional part, right? Primary oocyte, right? Can't miss it. But then you have 2 other area things around it. You have the corona radiata and the cumulus oophorus. Those words are very weird, and this is the weird part of it, right? Corona radiata. What's corona mean? Other than beer, right? What does it mean?
Like sun.
Crown.
Means crown or halo, ring. So we have 2 different things here, right? We have that kind of bluish circle, and then we have this ring of cells around it, right? So one of those is the corona radiata. Think about that. Corona, ring, radiation out, right? And then the other one, cumulus, complete, OO, egg, porous, bearing, right? Complete egg bearing. So they both almost kind of mean the same thing, right? It's kind of weird, right? The words aren't different, but obviously one of those is the blue ring around, and the other one is this ring of cells that are connected to that blue ring, right? Well, from the way that it's written there, which one do you think comes first?
Corona radiata. Corona radiata.
You would think that the corona radiata would be the
Outer layer.
That's what I think. I could be wrong.
Corona is the blue one.
well, you have your phones and stuff. Tell me, what is it?
Corona is the blue one. That's what I'm going.
What's it say on your phone when you look it
I
up?
don't care what that
What is
says.
that?
Hunt it up, people. Let's see. Use your technology.
Aren't you?
I'm going to teach you how to use other programs one of these days. We're going to get out like Excel and PowerPoint and stuff and say, here's how you use this, since none of you know how to use that either.
Corona is the outer.
What's that?
Corona is the outer one.
It is.
Corona radiata is the outer one.
Yes.
Wow.
Cumulus oophorus is the inner one. How about that?
That's fine. You said halo. It was like blue halo. That makes sense.
The key part is the what? What's the key word in there that tells you the radiata is the outer one? radiate, right? It radiates out. This, right? Think about that. That looks like the corona of the sun, if you will, right? Let me get really odd for you here. So, this is an unfertilized egg, right? So what gets pushed out of the ovary? What gets expulsed from the ovary?
All of it.
Is it this whole smash? Is it just that center thing? Is it the center thing in this? Is it the center thing in all this? What is it? Good question, right?
Center thing.
That's what we talk about in embryology, but it's interesting, right? Why do we have all these weird structures, right? Structures are there for a reason, right? Structure dictates function, right? All right, lots of different pictures of that, nice pictures, artwork, okay. Anything else on the ovary? Pretty straightforward structure, not very big, very important though.
So what does get pushed out?
Well, you tell me. I'm not gonna ask you that on the test. This is, if you're interested, look it up. It'd be for your edification, right? If you're interested, look it up. If you're not, don't, right? It's that simple. All right, oviduct. Do I have an oviduct slide? I have no idea. Anybody got an oviduct slide? I've been talking with Professor Duncan about this class. You guys want to see a different side of the ovary?
Sure.
I'll show you a very different side of the ovary. Different stain, right? How's it look?
Messy.
It's pretty.
Doesn't look anything like what you saw before, right? Well, yeah, interesting. This is, first off, it's a different stain, obviously a trichrome stain. It's an odd trichrome stain at that. Plus, it's at a very specific time. The title of the slide says active phase. Anybody know what they're talking about?
So when the eggs are just starting to be produced?
It is ovulation, right? It is the act of the egg being ejected from the ovary. So that's, this big empty area is where the mature follicle was and what's left of it. All right, enough of that. Let's see if I can find an oviduct somewhere. The oviduct has lots of different names, right? What are the multiple different names for the oviduct? Oviduct, what? Uterine tube, fallopian tube, horns of the uterus. There's lots of different terms for it, right? All those are the same thing. And I don't know where I have a slide of it. Anybody else know where it is?
I found a couple of the female reproductive slides.
You found a what?
Box up there, but those are all the ones I could find.
Interesting things, but not what I need. Ooh, look, parasites. Okay. That's useful. Parasitology science. Is there anything in these? These are all empty. Who's been? They're not all empty. All right, I'm gonna have to dig for this one. Cause I don't know if we have any, oh, there's one, hold on. I saw one right there. Found one, okay. There we go, not bad. Somewhat like your picture, right? Different stain, but same structure, right? So this is your standard tube arrangement. In the body has a standard arrangement of the tube, right? Mucosa, submucosa, right? All that stuff. So you have those same tubes here. Those same layers, right? You have the mucosal layer, the lamina propria layer, right? The muscularis layers, all that is here. The problem is that it's embedded in other tissue and the edges of it are not clearly defined. So start at the middle, work our way out, right? The mucosal layer, again, remember, mucosal layer has 3 parts to it. What are the mucosal layer subparts in the intestine that we talked about? You got the epithelium first, lamina propria, muscularis mucosa, right? Those are the 3 layers of the mucosal layer. So let's take a look at that. Epithelium's easy to see, I hope. Can't miss it, right? Epithelium. Everybody can see the epithelium, the lamina propria is this region here, right? Muscularis mucosa, is that listed? No, it's not listed. But if you go out to the edge here, for example, let's see, let's find a good spot. Doesn't really matter where we go on the edge. Should be all about the same. You can see here, here's your epithelium, here's your lamina propria, and then all of a sudden about here, you see a transition to muscle, right? So here's your muscle layers here. And you can see that this one's going longitudinal, this one's crosscut, right? You can see those 2 layers very distinctly, right? Longitudinal, crosscut, right? At this point, it should be an easy job to see a crosscut smooth muscle, right? This is crosscut, easy to see, right? No?
There it is, up there it's harder.
Real good here, right?
Yeah.
Less so up here, but still crosscut.
Yeah.
This is the really good section. This is longitudinal here, right? You're cutting it along the fibers, right?
To the right of it, it looks like it's longitudinal again.
This, yep, it looks longitudinal there almost, doesn't it? But then you get into here, which you're outside of the tube, right? This is the rest of the body that it's connected to. And that's what literally this is it's connected to the rest of the body there. And so that is more connective tissue than muscle. And you can tell that by looking at the nuclei, by the way. Difference in nuclei.
So is there not really a muscularis mucosa?
There's not really a muscularis mucosa, right? And there's not really a submucosa, right? Notice there's no real submucosa here. Technically, this area here would be the submucosa, but there's not really any layer there. And then there is, if you look in the right part of the body, you'll see serosa. This one doesn't really have a good serosa. You would have to look at a different one. Let's see what else I have in here for this. This might be the one I took the picture from. Let's take a look at this one. Here's a different variation on that, different slide of that. That's very much like your picture, right? Right? Very much, same thing, same idea. This one, you can easily see those outer layers because it's very distinct here, right? That's too close. How about that? Can't miss them, right? Inner circular, outer longitudinal, serosa, right? Very well defined there. So a couple of different versions of the fallopian tube, nothing bad there, right? What else we got? Uterus, that's it, right? No vagina, okay. Uterus and vagina, all right. Uterus, I saw uterus slides in there.
I think it should be around the same, place that you found the oviduct.
All right, uterus. Histologically, it's relatively hard for me to show you this, right? And the reason for that is why? Thick, big, right? Got lots of layers, right? I can't show you, even on my lowest power, I can't show you the whole structure in one shot, right? I have to show you pieces of it because it's too big to show on a microscope slide. So what we have to do is we have to go to the outside and then just kind of scan across to the inside. So this is the outside here, or I should say the inside here, right? Depends on how you think of it, right? No? What's a uterus? Give me some simple layman terminology for what the uterus is.
Where the baby's held.
House for the baby, right?
Oven.
House for the growing embryo. So the embryo gets embedded here, grows, and then gets pushed out of here, right? It's like stay until you're fed and then get the hell out, right?
It's a victim.
So the inner layer is where it works, the working part, where it interacts with the embryo, right? So there's literally just two parts to it, right? And I know they're tough ones, right? You got the endometrium, the inside, and the myometrium, the muscle side, right? That's literally what those prefixes mean. Endo, inside, myo, muscle, right? This is the inner part of it. Endometrium starts somewhere in here. It's a little gray. I can't see it. Can you see the edge of it? Somewhere around there. I can't really tell where the edge of it is. Is it over here? I can't tell. It's a little light for me. And then it ends right about here, right? That's literally it. That's endometrium. Not very thick. The whole, and you saw how far I scanned across, right? So let me go scan across again. So myometrium starts about here, right? And I'll show you the rest of it. So myometrium, ready? There you go. There's the end of it. It goes a little ways, right? What kind of muscle again? Smooth muscle. What did you see in the myometrium? Other than just a big mass of tissue. Look at the way that it's cut. Remember longitudinal, cross cut, all that stuff. Take a look at the tissue. If we see it here, what does it look like? This looks cross cut, right? You agree with that? This looks cross cut here. What about in here? Kind of longitudinal, maybe a little less longitudinal. What about over here? More cross cut, right? What about here? Oh, look at this. We got all kinds of different areas, right? Got all kinds of weirdness going on here, right? Anybody had any idea what that is? Those are glands. What about this? All kinds of different arrangements, right? That's a blood vessel there. Lots of blood vessels there. There's a nice blood vessel there, right? So the muscle's going what? How many different directions?
Yes.
Pretty much every direction you can think of, right? Some of it's going cross, some of it's longitudinal, some of it's at angles. It's all over the place, right? Why do you have muscle in different arrangements like that?
Protect it, so How does it tear? Baby girl, baby cake.
So, muscles give you the ability to contract. That's all they do, right? They contract.
Oh, man.
So muscles contract in a specific orientation, right? Think of your bicep, right? It contracts one way. That's it. What happens? You have muscles going this way and this way and that way and this way. They're all contracting. What you're doing is you're able to put pressure on it in any stinking direction you want, right? And when you're pushing out that baby, you never know which way you need to put pressure, right? So you put it in all directions at once to push it out, right? And that's why you have it going in all these different directions. Because what happens if you strain a muscle in the way that it's not supposed to strain? You tear it or break it or damage it, right? Well, you don't want to do that during parturition. You don't want to do that during birth. That'd be bad, right? Because if you can't push, it gets stuck in there, right? And we all know that's bad, right? All right, enough about that. Let's talk about the inner parts. Endometrium is the functional part. Let's talk about the endometrium. Let me find a different side of yours. It's the same one. That's an ovary, okay. All right, let's try this one, see what this one looks like. See if this one shows me a better view of it. Here we are. It's kind of on a different edge, but there you go. Not bad, not a bad picture of it. There you go. All right. So what do we got on this picture? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different things we have to see. Let's see. What's the first one? What's first? Simple columnar epithelium. Where do you think the epithelium is? Where's the epithelium always at? Epithelium, right? You can zoom in on it at all? I can. Right, epithelium? No problem, right? Lamina propria. Lamina propria is always the background tissue, right? Lamina propria. So, the endometrium is divided into 2 sublayers, if you will. And that's called the what? Right. Stratum basale, the basal layer, right? And the stratum functionalis, the functional layer. Which one do you think is going to be the functional layer?
Outer layer?
The one that interacts with the ovary, right? Which is going to be the outermost layer, this layer, right? This layer is the functionalis, this is the basalis down here, right? And you can see it, look at this, you can see a different color here, right? Not that that matters, but you can see that there's a color shift here. Basalis, functionalis, right? These big things here, these big circles, are your glands, endometrial glands, there's lots of them. And then the last part is blood vessels, right? So how do you tell the difference between the glands and the blood vessels, right? So what do those look like? Anybody see anything that looks like anything other than a gland? Those are all glands, right? Everybody agree those are all glands?
Yeah. Well,
You
there's that
don't
one
see,
at the bottom right in the corner.
you don't see any blood vessels. Those all are glands. If you see an artery or a blood vessel, let me know, right? Anybody see one yet?
I think we passed one right
Well, let's do this.
Oh, that's
If I
one.
go there, can you see a difference?
Yeah.
there. I mean, it still looks like a bunch of glands.
Let me go up even further here. How about this?
How does that look?
Vein, right? Big vein there. You can see them a little bit here and there. There's not a lot of them in there. There's some in there, don't get me wrong, but they're a little harder to see. There's a nice vein there. How about that one? Fairly clear on that one, I hope. Everybody see the vein? Right? Doesn't have the epithelium, right?
Can you show us on the picture?
Hell, I don't know.
Because we both look like they have the epithelium.
Yeah, I don't know. None of those are good. I don't like any of them. I think it's supposed to be the bottom ones are your blood vessels, but that's not right. I don't see any good blood vessels there. Well, I do, but it's not labeled. Everybody see the blood vessel on there?
The one bottom right corner.
Kind of like right here.
Oh, I didn't even see that one.
There's a little line right there, see that?
On the other side.
Yeah, there's one over here too.
I'll take it.
All right. Anything about that before I go on to the next thing? All right, last one. Vagina, right? Again, 3 layers. They're fairly straightforward, very easy to see, really. Here they are, all of them. That's the whole smash right there. You've got your, what's the first one? Stratified squamous epithelium. Can't miss it, right? You've got the lamina propria, and you've got the muscularis layer. Not very exciting, pretty straightforward. What else do you see in there? Anybody want to tell me what else you can see in there? I mean, we can go into all kinds of detail here, right?
Look, this one's
No? Nobody cares? Nothing there that's interesting? What?
they're in big, at the very top, that cluster.
That thing?
Mhm.
What is that thing?
A gland. I don't know.
It's weird looking. What is it?
It's different.
Zoom in on it.
Zoom in on it? Sure. You want to take a closer look? If you look at it, you're easily going to see that it's not epithelium, right? It doesn't look like this tissue up here. It's got a characteristic look that you should know by now. Anybody?
Pressure receptor? Yeah.
Say it louder if you're going to say it.
Pressure receptor? Or not pressure receptor, what's the?
Nope, not nervous in nature. It's not a nerve ending, not a sensory organ at all.
Is it a Payer's patch? Well, it's not a Payer's patch.
Say that louder.
Payer's patch.
It's a lymphatic.
Oh. No, that does make
Your own
sense.
Interesting.
Lymphatic. Yep, that's what it is. Lots of blood vessels in there, of course, right? You might want to tell me something about the muscle here. What do you see about the muscle?
Skeletal muscle.
Striated muscle. Wait a minute.
Oh, that's interesting.
Why do you have striated muscle there? So that means it's under voluntary control.
Mhm.
Wait a minute. Voluntary control. You'd almost think that you could exercise that muscle. Oh, wait a minute, maybe you can. Okay. Women weightlifters, who knew? All right. What are you laughing at? He's laughing over there. Did I embarrass you on
No, just the way you said it was fun. A woman weightlifting.
Okay. What about this? What's that thing there?
Muscle. Muscle.
Skeletal.
Gross.
What is that?
Gross gut?
Crosscut smooth muscle. So it's going to more is it smooth muscle? No, that's skeletal muscle. Going more in one direction, right? Okay. What else? Anything else?
What's in the
Areola tissue.
Nothing else? There's nothing else in there. What about this? Ooh, that's cool. I like that. All right, let's look at this. What is that?
Is that nervous tissue?
What is that?
Pressure or something.
Nerve receptor.
Oh my gosh.
Nerve
okay.
bundle, right? Nerve bundle there, nerve bundle there, right? Nerve plexus, if you will, right? Gotta have nerve control to control those muscles, right? All right, I'm just gonna test you on one slide for the whole test. That'd be great. Let's see. Ooh, wait a minute, what's that? That's weird. Let's go down. What the heck is that? This is like your final exam here, people. What is that? You may go down one more?
Those look like lines.
See that? Gland. Yeah, it is a gland. How about that? Who knew you had glands on there? Okay. Piece of cake, right? Weird stuff in there. So on the final exam, I think I'll just pick one slide at random and we'll just start asking all kinds of 100,000 questions on it.
Okay.
Sounds fair.
Since you got every one of those right when I,
Yep. All the money. Even the contraction.
and people were laughing at my answers over there, thinking that I'm a comedian or something. All right, let's talk about some logistic stuff here. I have, let's see, what do I have? I have until 1 o'clock today. In that time period, I have to get lunch. But I have a meeting at 1, then I have another meeting at 3. I don't know if I'll get to grading today. I'm gonna try to get some grading done between now and 1, but you never know. My secretary's out today and tomorrow, so that means I have no filter. You know what I mean by that? I have nobody to block people from just walking into my office. And that's part of my job, is to take care of stuff that comes in the door, so I never know what's gonna come in the door. But I am gonna work on grades. I don't know when I'm gonna get it done, but I will get it done. I'm sorry for taking so long, and you can gig me on my course evaluations and I didn't get stuff back in a timely manner. Right? Yeah, okay. I already know that, right? Do I make that much sense? Do I? Okay. She said I'm loud and noisy. Part of that's I can't hear, so it doesn't matter.
We'll get you a bell for your teacher appreciation week.
People say that I'm loud and boisterous and make too much noise. Japanese people thought I was just rude.
They stare at you a lot.
What?
They stare. You're so tall.
Oh, well, yeah, they cowered. I don't know about stare.
Never mind. Don't follow up.
Anybody know Japanese culture at all?
Very polite. Or very quiet.
So, big body movements are considered rude. I talk with my hands. So I'm just rude, right? Plus I'm big, right? Big guy chin, right? So, just rude all the way around. And how much did I care? I don't know, right? I was younger and meaner back then, doesn't matter. All right, today is the 21st, right? Our final exam final lab practical is 2 weeks from today, correct? 14 days without any input of this stuff, right? I highly recommend that you come in and study when we get back from Thanksgiving break. If I can squeeze it in, would anybody be interested in a review session on Tuesday around 1?
Absolutely.
Interested?
This
Yes.
Tuesday?
Don't know if we can make it though.
Tuesday, the day we get back from spring break, or that next day, right? whatever date that is, the Tuesday before the lab practical?
Yeah.
Or would you prefer to try to do it on Wednesday at,
Wednesday would also work.
what about Wednesday during my office hours? That'd be good, from 12 to 1, right after class. We could do that. You might have a class right after ours.
I do, but I can skip.
Yeah.
I have class at 1, so that's
I
fine.
recommend that.
I could probably do both of those time periods, and then you could pick the one that's better for you. Does that work? So what I would suggest is try to get kind of go over it at least one time before then, come with questions, because that's what that's gonna be. Say, I wanna go over this because I'm not sure of this and this and this, right? And I will go over those in that review session for you. But when the questions dry up, I will leave, so come with your questions on those 2 days. So we'll try to do that to give you some more study time for this job. Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday at 1, Wednesday at noon, right? Okay, I'm gonna put that in my schedule. This last test, I'm gonna try to get that graded today. That's one of the big things I'm gonna push for, is get that lecture exam graded. Everybody should have a good grade on it. It shouldn't be hard to do. Everybody should have a good grade on that. I will get that done. I will try to get I got the other one set up, right? Where you could turn in the other labs? Yes? No? Did I never do that? I'll try to do all the lab stuff today as well, where you can turn them in online, okay? Make sure you look at those at some point. And everybody said they're gonna be here Monday, right? If everybody's here, maybe we'll do a little in-class thing for some extra points, okay? What am I forgetting? Anything? Presentations begin on Monday. We come back from spring break. I hope everybody's ready, working on it. Monday, Wednesday, Friday that week, we have presentations, right? I expect everybody to attend. If it's not your day to do a presentation, that doesn't mean you get to skip out, right? Come to the class, right? If we have people skipping out on that, I will make the final harder, I guarantee it. So don't do that. Don't anger the professor before the final. What?
How many people do you think you're gonna get through per day?
We slotted 6. We should easily get through 6. We should have no problem getting through that. If we get done early, we're out of there, right? If we go long, we stay. Doesn't matter. What?
Do we need to turn in our presentations on Blackboard or just have them?
I do want the PowerPoint turned in. And again, I'll have to make somewhere to do that, right? Yes, another thing I have yet to do, yes. All right, I'll try to get that done as well. But as I said, we are down to it, right? You turn in these labs, there'll be basically 300 points in the class left out of 1050-ish, right? So everybody should know kind of where they are, right? 300 points is, out of 1050, 300 points is about a grade and a half-ish. A little over a grade and a half. So it makes a difference, right? These last 300 points can make a difference in your grade, can raise it up by 2 grade levels easily if you do well on it. It's just a point thing, right? 1050 points divided by what you get, that's your grade, right? Straight and easy. Anybody else with any complaints about this class?
Not yet.
Suggestions? Get a professor who has more time. Professor Duncan's interested in teaching it next year, but he doesn't have time to teach it either, so I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know if I'll be retired by next year or not, we'll see. Next year's a long way away. What is that, fall 25, right? 25. Somebody said something about 1960 something yesterday in a meeting, acting like it was ancient history. Man, I was there. Oh well. Old people talking about old stuff. All right, get out of here. Enjoy your day. We'll see you tomorrow.